To tune your guitar, you turn on an electronic tuner and pluck a string on your guitar. You then turn the tuning peg on your guitar for that string until the needle is in the middle and you see a green light. If you want to find out more, stick around. This is Adam from beatharvest.com, and I'm going to teach you how to get your guitar in tune. So tuning is one of those things that's not negotiable. We can debate for ages about the right technique and the right way to play certain things, but you got to be in tune. If you're not in tune, nothing you do is going to sound good, no matter how hard you work at it. So let's get into it. So this video is going to have 3 sections. First, I'm going to talk about the little tweaks you need to do to your guitar while you're playing to keep it perfectly in tune. Second, I'm going to talk about how to deal with a guitar that's really out of tune. Maybe you've stored it for a while, or maybe you've put new strings on. And lastly, I'm going to talk about some of the different tools you can use for tuning and their pros and cons. So, first of all, the little tweaks that you need to do while you're playing to keep your guitar perfectly in tune. If you play piano, you probably get it tuned once a year, or maybe not even that often. But guitars need tuning a little more often than that. And mainly it's because they're portable. We put them in a hot car, or we go to the beach and we take them to places where the temperature changes and they just go out of tune. So when I'm playing a show, I tune my guitar once every 2 or 3 songs. So it's something you need to get really good at so you can do it quickly. So we're going to use an electronic tuner today, and some people might tell you that's cheating and you should learn to tune by ear. And you should, it's a great skill to develop, but right now we want to just get in tune so you can play some music, and electronic tuners are the quickest and easiest way to get in tune. Today I'm just going to talk about standard tuning. That means that we're going to tune the strings to these notes: E, A, D, G, B, and a high E, or eat all delicious greens before evening. There are lots of alternate tunings you can use, and they're really fun to play with, and everything that I'm going to say today relates to those tunings as well. But we're going to stick with standard just because that's what most guitar music is in, and it's the one that you're probably going to use most often. So the tuner that I'm using today is an iPhone app called Guitar Pro, and as you can see, when I play a string, it tells me the note that I'm playing, and the needle tells me if that note is in tune right in the middle, if it's a little sharp, or if it's a little flat. So the E string I've already tuned. If I go on to the A, it's flat, so I need to tighten it up. And now I have an A. And on to the next string, the D string. Now my D string was actually too tight. It was sharp, so I'm slackening it down. And there it is, perfectly in tune on a D. Now what I'm actually going to do is go even flatter. I'm going to go down past that and then tighten it up to a perfect D. The reason I'm doing that is because strings stay in tune better if you tighten them up to the correct pitch rather than loosening them down. So continuing on, I'm going to do my G. And if the note gets too quiet, I just pluck it again. And finally, my top E string. Now something to watch out for here is sharp and flat signs after the note. So if I look at the tuner right now, I can see that it says E and the needle's in the middle and I've got the green light. But after the E there's a flat sign, and that tells me I've tuned this note not to an E note but to an E flat note, which is the next note down. So if I strum my guitar, you can see that that last string doesn't sound quite right. So I tighten it up to an E, and now I have a perfectly tuned guitar. Okay, so now we're going to deal with a guitar that's really out of tune. This is my electric. I've just put new strings on it. It sounds terrible. So we're going to get this in tune. Now, this is actually not that easy. So if you're just getting started, you might want to take your guitar to a music store, to a guitar playing friend, and get them to help you with it. But if you don't have a store nearby, or you don't have any friends that play guitar, I'm going to show you how to do it yourself. So the way to do this is to get it close to in tune by using another guitar that you know is already in tune. So right here I have my acoustic guitar that we just tuned with the electronic tuner. If you don't have a guitar around that's in tune, you can actually go to the Fender website, and they have a page that has a guitar on, and you can click on the strings and hear the sound of each string and tune to that. I'll put a link in the description below. So here's how we do it. What I'm going to do is plug a string on the in-tune guitar, and then I'm going to pluck the same string on this guitar and try and make them sound the same. So I'm going to start with this low E string. And you can hear right now, those strings don't sound the same. So this string's actually a lot lower than that one. I'm going to tighten it up till they're the same. That might not be perfect, but it's close. So if you've got perfect pitch, you can just play a string and you'll know what note it is. But most people don't have perfect pitch. But what a lot of us do have is a pretty good sense of relative pitch. What that means is, if we hear two notes, we can tell if the second one is higher or lower than the first one. Let's try that with the A string. If you're not sure, a good way to do this is to sing the two notes, because we can often hear if our voice is going up or down. So I'm going to sing those two notes. La, and I'll sing this note. La, 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 la. So I can hear that that second note, I can feel that I'm singing lower. So this note's lower, I'm going to tighten it up. And now this guitar's pretty close to in tune. It's as close as my ears can get to that one. Now what I'm going to do is use the electronic tuner to make those little tweaks and get it perfect. Okay, so here I have a few different types of tuners, and I'm just going to talk about the pros and cons of each one so you can decide what's best for you. The first one I have here is actually an app on my iPhone, and this is an app called Guitar Toolkit, and there's tons of different tuners out there, but the reason I like this one is that as well as a tuner, it has a metronome built in, which I use a lot in my lessons to help people play in time. The other advantage of the smartphone app is that a lot of us often have our phone with us, so if you've got your phone, you've got your tuner. If you don't have a smartphone, you might want to get something like this, which is a self-contained chromatic tuner. And this one is actually about 15 years old. It went to Africa with me. It's very hard wearing, and it works just like the phone app. You can see it has the needle and the green light to tell me that I'm in tune. The other thing I like about this particular one is that it has an input so that I can plug my guitar into it if I'm using an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar with a pickup, so that I don't have to worry so much about the noise in the room. It'll just hear the guitar. The next type of tuner I have here is a clip-on tuner. And the way this one works is you actually clip it onto the headstock of your guitar and turn it on. And we can see that it's got a meter on its little screen there. And I can see it really clearly on the headstock on my guitar. The advantage of this is that it actually senses vibrations through the guitar. It doesn't use a microphone. So again, if there's other noises in the room, this will still work pretty well. It does have a couple of disadvantages. Firstly, when I'm playing, I like to move around a lot, and if you do that, they can fall off, although actually right now it's sticking on there pretty well. Oh, there it goes. The other thing is, and you might think this is vain, but honestly I think they look kind of stupid. Like, it's really nice to have a guitar that looks cool, and having that stuck on the headstock, just not doing it for me. So these other two tuners I want to show you are pedal tuners, and these tend to be really popular with people that play live a lot because they just sit on the floor by your feet, but you always have a tuner when you need it. This first one is a Boss chromatic tuner, and it works just like the other tuners. I'm plugged into it with my electric here, and you can see it's telling me the notes, and those little LEDs in the middle tell me if I'm sharp, flat, or in tune. This one has a couple of advantages. The first is when I step on it, it actually mutes my guitar, which is really nice if I'm playing a show and I don't want the audience to hear me tuning my guitar. The other thing that's really cool about this one is it has two outputs. And what that means you can do with this is you can take your guitar and you can plug it into two different amplifiers. And if you've never tried that, I really recommend trying it. It's kind of cool to get two different sounds at the same time, or have some sort of stereo thing going on. And that's kind of cool because, you know, buying a tuner is kind of boring. You know, of all the effects pedals you can buy and all the fun music stuff you can buy, a tuner is the most boring thing. But this one actually has this little hidden feature that you can do something cool with, so I really like that about it. And the last tuner that I'm going to show you here is also a pedal tuner. This is the TC Electronic Polytune. And this is kind of clever in that if I switch it on, it mutes my signal, just like the Boss. And if I play a string, I get a little display on the screen that tells me the note and tells me if I'm sharp or flat. The thing that this tuner does that other tuners don't do is it can listen to all of the strings at the same time. So if I just strum my guitar, I get 6 little readouts on the screen, and I can see which strings are sharp, which strings are flat, and which strings are in tune. And this saves me a ton of time when I'm playing a show, that I can just pick up my guitar, do that, and then I can just work on the strings that I need to. So I really hope that was helpful, and now you're perfectly in tune. If you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe and visit beatharvest.com for more music education tools. I'll see you next time.